In the year 1241, as chaos tore through Eastern Europe, a group of Mongol invaders descended upon the city of Kiev. The people ran in terror, churches burned, and the sky turned red with smoke. In the midst of this devastation, one man stood calm inside the Dominican church. His name was Hyacinth of Poland, a friar whose faith would soon defy the limits of human strength. Saint Hyacinth, known in Polish as Jacek Droge, was born into nobility but gave up everything for the gospel. After meeting Saint Dominic himself in Rome, he was inspired to join the order of preachers, dedicating his life to spreading the truth of Christ with courage and love. He became a missionary throughout Poland, Russia, and beyond, known for his deep prayer and miraculous works. But his greatest miracle happened on that terrible day when the Mongols invaded. As the attackers entered the city, Hyacinth was celebrating Mass. The sounds of horses, shouting, and destruction echoed through the streets. The church walls shook, yet Hyacinth remained before the altar, holding the consecrated host, the real presence of Jesus Christ. He knew he could not let the Blessed Sacrament fall into the hands of those who did not believe. So he took the ciborium, placed it carefully in a monstrance, and prepared to flee. But as he turned toward the door, he heard a voice. It came from the side chapel, where a heavy statue of the Virgin Mary stood. The voice said, "Hyacinth, my son, do you leave me behind? Take me with you." He stopped in shock. The statue was made of alabaster, nearly as tall as a person. It was impossible for one man to lift, let alone carry through a burning city. But Hyacinth, moved by faith and love, replied, "Blessed Mother, how can I carry you? The statue is too heavy." And then the voice answered, "If you had a true love for me, you would not ask." With that, Hyacinth approached the statue. To his amazement, when he placed his hands upon it, it became light as air. With one arm holding the Eucharist and the other holding the statue of Mary, he walked calmly out of the church as flames engulfed the building. The invaders saw him pass through the streets, but did not touch him. Witnesses later said that the wine seemed to open a path before him, and the fire did not harm him. Hyacinth walked across the burning city, carrying the Savior and his mother, until he reached the Dnieper River. When he arrived at the river bank, the bridge had been destroyed. The current was fierce, and the water was deep. The people who had fled with him cried out that there was no escape. But Hyacinth, still holding both the Blessed Sacrament and the statue, turned toward the water and said a simple prayer, "Lord, make a way for those who trust in you." Then he stepped forward. To everyone's astonishment, the surface of the river hardened beneath his feet. He and the others walked across the water as if on solid ground, safely reaching the opposite shore. When they turned back, the city behind them was in ruins, but the light of faith had survived. That statue of Mary, known today as the Virgin of Kiev, is still venerated in Poland, a reminder of that miraculous escape. The story spread quickly, inspiring believers across Europe. It became a symbol of divine protection and of the power of faith that refuses to fear destruction. Saint Hyacinth's life did not end with that miracle. He continued his mission for years, founding Dominican communities and converting countless souls. People said that wherever he went, he carried peace, and that miracles followed him like a shadow. He healed the sick, multiplied food for the hungry, and even raised the dead. Yet he never sought fame. His heart was fixed on one thing only, Christ in the Eucharist. What makes his story so moving is not only the miracle itself, but the lesson behind it. When everything around us collapses, faith is what carries us through the fire. Saint Hyacinth did not rely on his own strength. He relied on God's. He believed that the Eucharist was truly Jesus and that the Blessed Virgin was his real mother and protector. That belief gave him a strength no army could defeat. We live in a time when many people feel surrounded by chaos, fear, and uncertainty. But Hyacinth's miracle reminds us that no fire, no destruction, no power in this world can overcome a soul that holds fast to Jesus and Mary. The same presence that carried him through the flames still dwells in every tabernacle, waiting to strengthen us. When Saint Hyacinth died years later in Krakow, his last words were simple: "Into your hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit." Those who were with him said that his face shone with peace. The Church later declared him the Apostle of the North and the patron of Poland, travelers, and those in danger of sudden death. Even centuries later, his story continues to echo with power. It tells us that faith is not a feeling but a choice, a decision to carry Christ wherever we go, no matter the cost. Hyacinth carried both Jesus and Mary not just in his arms, but in his soul. That is why the flames could not touch him. If you've ever felt surrounded by challenges that seem impossible to overcome, remember Saint Hyacinth. The fire may rage, but faith makes a path where none seems to exist. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs courage today. And if you want to hear more miracles that show how God acts through his saints, subscribe to the channel and join us every week as we bring you more incredible moments of faith that change the world.